There is a $1 roll of silicone tape at every hardware store on the planet right now that wraps around a leaking pipe joint and fuses into a solid, permanent, waterproof rubber seal in under 60 seconds without glue, without clamps, without draining the line, and without turning off the water. No plumber, no emergency service call fee, no ripping open drywall to access the pipe, no $500 invoice for 20 minutes of work that uses $3 in materials. Just a thin strip of silicone rubber stretched around the leak that bonds to itself on contact, creating a compression seal rated to withstand pressures far beyond anything your residential plumbing system will ever produce. The United States Department of Defense developed this tape technology for emergency battle damage repair on naval vessels, aircraft hydraulic systems, and field water supply lines. NASA qualified self-fusing silicone tape for emergency pressure seal repair on the International Space Station. The United States Navy has used this exact material to seal pipe. Ruptures on warships at sea, where calling a plumber is not an option, and failure means flooding a compartment. This is not duct tape wrapped around a wet pipe and prayed over. Ancient Roman engineers developed pipe sealing techniques using lead caulking and hemp fiber compression joints that maintained watertight integrity across their aqueduct systems for centuries. The word plumber itself comes from the Latin word plumbum, meaning lead, because Roman pipeworkers used lead-based sealing compounds to create permanent joints on the water systems that served millions of citizens. Medieval European cities maintained pressurized water systems, using compression-sealed joints and fiber-packed fittings that lasted decades without professional intervention. Then a $130 billion plumbing industry realized something very dangerous. They realized that a $1 roll of tape in the hands of any homeowner could stop the leak that generates their most frequent and most profitable emergency service call. They did not stop using compression sealing because the physics failed. Every professional plumber carries self-fusing silicone tape in their own truck for emergency field repairs that they do not bill as tape fixes. They bill them as pipe repairs at full labor rate. They buried this product in the consumer market because a $1 roll of tape that any person can wrap around a leak in their pajamas at 2 a.m. eliminates the $150 emergency call-out fee, the $80 per hour labor rate, and the $500 minimum invoice that makes residential plumbing the most profitable trade service in the home repair industry. And anything that turns a $500 emergency into a $1 Tuesday afternoon cannot be allowed to become common knowledge. This is the story of the cheapest permanent pipe repair that material science allows, and the massive industry that profits from every drip you do not know how to stop yourself. If you are not subscribed yet, hit subscribe and the bell right now. What they buried, we dig up. Every single video. Travel back with me to approximately 312 BC, the city of Rome, the beginning of the greatest water engineering project the ancient world would ever see. Roman engineers are constructing the Aqua Appia, the first major aqueduct to serve the city of Rome. This system must carry millions of gallons of fresh water across miles of terrain through underground channels, overarched stone bridges, and into distribution networks serving hundreds of thousands of citizens. Every joint in this system is a potential failure point. Every connection between stone channels, lead pipes, and terracotta conduits must be sealed permanently against water loss. A leaking aqueduct wastes the resource that the entire city depends on for survival. Roman engineers develop a sealing system using a combination of materials that demonstrates an understanding of compression sealing principles that would not be scientifically formalized for another 2,000 years. For stone and terracotta joints, they pack the connections with a mixture of quicklime, putty, and fig juice. The lime provides rigid structure. The fig juice contains natural latex compounds that add flexibility and adhesive bonding. The combination cures into a semi-flexible waterproof seal that accommodates minor thermal expansion while maintaining pressure integrity. For lead pipe joints, they use a technique called caulked joints. Molten lead is poured into the bell-shaped joint between two pipe sections, filling the gap completely. Before the lead fully hardens, the plumber hammers the still soft metal against the pipe walls using specialized caulking tools, compressing the lead into a dense, watertight seal. This caulking technique, compression of a soft sealing material into a joint under mechanical force, is the exact same fundamental principle that makes modern self-using silicone tape work. Apply a soft, conformable material to the leak point. Compress it. The material conforms to every surface irregularity and creates a pressure-tight barrier. The Romans sealed over 250 miles of aqueducts serving Rome alone using these techniques. Many of these systems operated continuously for over 500 years. The Aqua Virgo, completed in 19 BC, still feeds the Trevi Fountain in modern Rome today. Over 2,000 years of continuous water flow through joints sealed by Roman plumbers using compression sealing techniques that cost the empire virtually nothing in material. Now move forward to medieval Europe, the 12th through the 16th century. Cities across England, France, Germany, and the Low Countries developed pressurized water distribution systems using hollowed log pipes, lead conduits, and early cast iron pipes. Every joint in these systems is sealed using compression-based techniques. The most common medieval pipe joint sealing method uses oakum, loose hemp or jute fiber soaked in pine tar. The oakum is packed tightly into the joint gap using a caulking iron and hammer. The compressed fiber conforms to the pipe surfaces and creates a watertight seal. The pine tar provides water resistance and antimicrobial protection that prevents the fiber from rotting. Oakum-packed joints sealed medieval water systems that operated for decades and, in some cases, centuries. The technique was so reliable that it remained the standard pipe joint sealing method across the entire Western world until the mid-20th century. Cast iron sewer systems installed in American cities in the late 1800s, using oakum and lead-caulked joints, are still in service today, over 130 years later. A fiber packed into a joint by hand under compression, creating a permanent watertight seal for pennies in material cost. Now cross to Asia, ancient China, and Japan. Chinese engineers developed bamboo pipeline systems for transporting natural gas and brine water as early as 200 BC. These pipelines ran for miles across rugged terrain. Every joint between bamboo sections was sealed using wrapped hemp fiber coated with a mixture of tung oil and lime. The wrapping was pulled tight under tension, and the tung oil cured into a hard waterproof binding that sealed the joint permanently. A wrapped, tensioned, self-curing seal applied to a pipe joint over 2,200 years ago. Japanese temple builders developed water supply systems for ceremonial gardens using bamboo and stone channels with joints sealed using washi paper saturated with lacquer, wrapped under compression. These garden water systems have operated continuously for hundreds of years. Every civilization that moved water through pipes independently discovered the same truth. A flexible material wrapped or packed tightly around a joint and held under compression creates a permanent waterproof seal. The material changes across cultures and centuries: hemp, lead, fiber, paper, rubber, silicone. The principle never changes. Conform a flexible material to the joint, hold it under compression, water stops. For over 2,000 years, this was common knowledge. Any person who owned a building knew how to pack a joint or wrap a pipe. Pipe repair was a household skill, not a professional service. Then modern plumbing licensing laws arrived, and the simple act of wrapping a leaking pipe became a regulated trade that only certified professionals were legally permitted to perform in many jurisdictions. Now stay with me, because the modern science behind this $1 repair is where the story becomes absolutely devastating to the plumbing industry. The product is self-fusing silicone repair tape, also called self-amalgamating tape, rescue tape, or silicone pipe wrap. It is not adhesive tape. It has no glue, no sticky side, no adhesive of any kind. It bonds through an entirely different mechanism that makes it vastly superior to any adhesive-based repair. Here's what happens at the molecular level when self-fusing silicone tape is wrapped around a pipe. The tape is made from uncured silicone rubber with a very specific molecular structure. The silicone polymer chains on the surface of the tape are in a semi-reactive state. When the tape is stretched and pressed against itself, those polymer chains on adjacent layers interpenetrate and cross-link through a process called auto-vulcanization. The two layers do not stick together like glue. They fuse into a single piece of solid silicone rubber. The boundary between the layers ceases to exist at the molecular level. What was two separate strips of tape becomes one continuous, seamless rubber sleeve wrapped around the pipe. This is fundamentally different from duct tape, electrical tape, or any adhesive-based repair. Adhesive bonds can fail when exposed to water, heat, vibration, or UV radiation because the glue layer degrades over time. Self-fusing silicone has no glue layer to degrade. The bond is the material itself. The only way to break the seal is to physically cut through the solid rubber. The fused silicone sleeve has extraordinary physical properties. Temperature resistance. Self-fusing silicone remains functional from -65 degrees Fahrenheit to over 500 degrees Fahrenheit. It will not melt, will not become brittle, and will not lose elasticity across a temperature range that exceeds anything your residential plumbing will ever experience. Chemical resistance. Silicone rubber is inert to virtually all chemicals found in residential plumbing systems. Water, cleaning products, mild acids, mild bases. The material does not react with or degrade in the presence of any common household chemical. Pressure rating, properly applied, self-fusing silicone tape creates a seal rated to several hundred psi of internal pressure. Residential water systems typically operate at 4280 psi. The tape seal has a safety factor of 5 to 10 times the maximum pressure your pipes will ever see. UV resistance. Silicone rubber does not degrade under ultraviolet radiation. The repair is equally permanent on exposed outdoor pipes and buried interior lines. Electrical insulation. As a bonus property, silicone rubber is an excellent electrical insulator. Repairs near electrical systems carry no conductivity risk. The United States military recognized these properties in the 1960s and developed self-fusing silicone tape specifically for combat damage repair applications. The Navy uses it to seal pipe ruptures on warships, where welding or soldering is impossible during combat operations. A sailor wraps the tape around the breech under tension. The tape fuses into a pressure-tight seal within minutes. The ship continues operating. The Air Force uses it on hydraulic lines and aircraft, where a failed seal at altitude can mean loss of flight controls. A maintenance crew wraps the damaged line with self-fusing tape, and the aircraft returns to base safely. NASA qualified self-fusing silicone tape for use on the International Space Station as an emergency repair material for fluid lines and pressure seals. In the vacuum of space, where a leak can be fatal, NASA trusts a roll of silicone tape to protect human lives. If the material is reliable enough to save a warship, an aircraft, and a space station, it is reliable enough to fix the pipe under your kitchen sink. A technical evaluation published by the Naval Surface Warfare Center tested self-fusing silicone tape repairs on pressurized pipe systems and confirmed leak-free performance under sustained pressure, exceeding 3 times the working pressure of residential water systems. The repairs maintained integrity through vibration testing, thermal cycling, and extended duration pressure holds, published, tested, confirmed by the United States Navy, and available to you for $1 to $5 at any hardware store on Earth. So, if self-fusing silicone tape is proven by the military, qualified by NASA, tested by the Navy, rated to pressures far beyond residential requirements, and costs $1, why does every plumber recommend a $500 repair instead of handing you a roll of tape? The answer is the most straightforward version of the same answer it always is. The United States plumbing industry generates over $130 billion in annual revenue. Residential plumbing repair and service represents a significant portion of that figure. The most common residential service call is a leak, a dripping joint, a weeping fitting, a slow seep at a connection. The average plumbing service call costs the homeowner between $150 and $500. The emergency after-hours call, the one at 2 a.m. when the pipe under your bathroom sink starts spraying, costs $300 to $800. The plumber arrives, assesses the leak, turns off the water, disassembles the joint, replaces a washer, retapes a fitting, or resolders a connection, turns the water back on, writes an invoice. Total material cost for most leak repairs, $1 to $10 in washers, fittings, tape, or solder. Total time on site, 20 to 45 minutes for a standard joint leak. The labor rate for a licensed plumber in most American markets is $75 to $150 per hour. The minimum service call charge is typically $150 to $250, regardless of how long the repair takes. The after-hours emergency premium doubles or triples that minimum. A homeowner who wraps a leaking joint with $1 of self-fusing silicone tape in 60 seconds has just eliminated $150 to $500 in service revenue from the plumbing industry. Multiply that across the estimated 10 million residential plumbing leak service calls per year in the United States alone. At an average ticket of $350, that represents $3.5 billion in annual service revenue generated by leak repairs. A $1 roll of tape threatens $3.5 billion in annual revenue. The plumbing industry does not advertise self-fusing silicone tape for the same reason the roofing industry does not advertise elastomeric coating. The product solves the problem that funds the industry, and no industry promotes the tool that makes itself unnecessary. Now, here is the part that should genuinely frustrate you. When a plumber arrives at your home and finds a leaking joint, the first thing many plumbers do before beginning the formal repair is wrap the leak with tape to stop the active water flow while they work. Some use self-fusing silicone tape. Some use pipe repair wrap. Some use compression clamps. They use these temporary measures because they work instantly and reliably. The plumber stops the active leak, works in dry conditions, and then performs the permanent repair that justifies the invoice. In many cases, the temporary tape seal that the plumber applied in 15 seconds to stop the flow would have served as a permanent repair for years. But a temporary fix that takes 15 seconds cannot appear on an invoice as a $350 pipe repair. So the plumber removes the tape, performs the more complex repair, and bills accordingly. The tool that could have been your permanent solution becomes the plumber's temporary convenience, and you never see it because it disappears before the invoice is written. The plumbing industry does not oppose self-fusing tape because it does not work. They oppose homeowner awareness of it because it works too well and too cheaply. If you have made it this far, you already understand more about pipe sealing physics than 99% of homeowners who will call an emergency plumber at 2 a.m. this year and pay $500 for a repair they could have done themselves in their pajamas for $1. Subscribe and share this video with someone who deserves to know before the next leak hits at the worst possible time. Stay with me now because the most important part of this video is next.
Now I need to be completely honest with you here. Self-fusing silicone tape does not fix every plumbing problem. It does not repair burst pipes where the pipe wall itself has catastrophically failed. A burst pipe with a split running several inches needs section replacement, not tape. It does not fix sewer line problems. Blocked drains, root intrusion, and main sewer line failures require professional diagnosis and intervention. Tape does not clear blockages. It does not fix problems inside walls where you cannot physically access the leak point. If water is appearing on a wall or ceiling from an unseen source, you need a plumber to locate the leak before you can address it. It is not a substitute for proper pipe installation on new construction or major renovations. Building codes require specific materials, joint methods, and inspection for permanent plumbing installations. Self-fusing tape is a repair material, not a construction material. And it works best on pipe joints, fittings, and small area leaks where the tape can be wrapped around the full circumference of the pipe with multiple overlapping layers. A pinhole in the middle of a long straight run of pipe is more effectively repaired with a pipe repair clamp, another $3 to $8 hardware store item that any homeowner can install in minutes. But here is what self-fusing silicone tape absolutely does and does exceptionally well. It seals leaking pipe joints, fittings, and connection points permanently. It works on copper, PVC, PEX, galvanized steel, and virtually any pipe material. It works on wet pipes with active leaks without needing to drain the system first. It creates a fused rubber seal rated to pressures 5 to 10 times your home's water pressure. It withstands temperatures from -65 to over 500 degrees Fahrenheit. It never degrades from water exposure. It costs $1 to $5 per roll. My God. Each roll contains enough tape to seal multiple leak points, and it requires absolutely zero plumbing skills, tools, or experience to apply. For the 60 to 70% of residential plumbing leak calls that involve joint seepage, fitting drips, and connection weeps, self-fusing silicone tape provides a permanent repair at a fraction of 1% of professional service cost. Here is exactly what to do with this knowledge starting today. Step 1. Buy the tape now before you need it. Go to any hardware store and buy one roll of self-fusing silicone repair tape. It is typically sold in the plumbing section near the pipe thread tape and pipe repair clamps. Look for packaging that says self-fusing, self-amalgamating, or silicone repair tape. Common brands include Rescue Tape, Extreme Tape, Nashua, and various store brands. A standard roll costs $1 to $5 and contains enough tape to perform multiple repairs. Buy it now. Put it under your kitchen sink or in your tool drawer. It has no shelf life. It does not expire. It will be ready the instant you need it, whether that is tomorrow or 10 years from now. Step 2. When a leak appears, assess before you panic. Most household leaks are slow drips or steady seeps at joint connections, valve fittings, or threaded pipe connections. These are not emergencies, they are nuisances, and they are perfectly suited for tape repair. If water is spraying at high pressure from a burst pipe, turn off the main water supply valve first to stop the flow. Then assess whether tape or a more substantial repair is needed. Step 3. Prepare the surface. Wipe the pipe surface around the leak as dry as you reasonably can with a rag. Self-fusing tape works on wet surfaces but bonds fastest on surfaces that are as dry as possible. If the leak is at a threaded fitting, try hand tightening the fitting first. Sometimes a quarter turn with a wrench stops the drip entirely. If tightening does not stop it, proceed with tape. Step 4. Apply the tape. Peel back the protective film from the tape roll. This film prevents the tape from fusing to itself on the roll. Remove it as you unwind the tape. Starting 2 to 3 inches to one side of the leak, begin wrapping the tape around the pipe. Stretch the tape to approximately double its resting length as you wrap. This stretch is critical. Stretching activates the self-fusing bond and creates the compression force that seals the leak. Wrap with a 50% overlap on each pass, meaning each new wrap covers half the width of the previous wrap. This creates a minimum double-layer thickness across the entire repair area. Continue wrapping past the leak point by 2 to 3 inches on the other side. God, you want the fused rubber sleeve to extend well beyond the leak in both directions. For maximum security, make 3 to 4 complete layers of overlapping wraps across the leak area. Total application time, 30 to 60 seconds. Step 5. Wait for fusion. The tape begins fusing immediately upon contact with itself. A functional seal forms within minutes. Full molecular cross-linking completes within 24 hours. The seal strengthens progressively over the first day. You can restore water flow immediately after wrapping. The initial compression seal is sufficient to hold residential water pressure. The bond will continue strengthening to its full rated capacity over the following hours. Step 6. Inspect and forget. Check the repair after 24 hours. Look for any moisture around the taped area. If the area is completely dry, the repair is complete. In most cases, you will never need to touch this repair again. The fused silicone sleeve is permanent. It does not degrade in water. It does not loosen over time. It does not require maintenance. A homeowner in Michigan had a slow drip at the cold water supply fitting under his bathroom sink. The drip had been catching in a small bucket for 3 weeks while he waited for a plumber who quoted him $285 for the service call. His neighbor handed him a $3 roll of self-fusing silicone tape from his garage. He wrapped the fitting in approximately 45 seconds. The drip stopped instantly. That was 4 years ago. The tape is still in place. The joint has not leaked a single drop since. $3.45 seconds versus $285 in a 3-week wait? Same joint, same leak, same outcome. Because one approach wrapped the problem and the other scheduled it. Let me state these numbers one final time so they burn permanently into your memory. A $1 roll of self-fusing silicone tape creates a fused rubber seal around any leaking pipe joint in 60 seconds flat. The seal is rated to pressures 5 to 10 times your residential water system. It operates from -65 to over 500 degrees Fahrenheit. It is chemically inert, UV stable, and does not degrade from continuous water exposure. The United States Navy uses this material to seal pipe ruptures on warships in combat conditions. NASA qualified it for the International Space Station. The Department of Defense developed the base technology for battlefield damage repair. The average emergency plumbing service call costs $300 to $800. The average standard leak repair costs $150 to $500. The material cost for most professional leak repairs is under $10. An estimated 10 million residential leak service calls per year in America generate approximately $3.5 billion in annual plumbing repair revenue. Roman engineers sealed aqueducts using compression joint techniques. 2,300 years ago, and some of those systems still carry water today. Medieval plumbers packed joints with hemp and pine tar that lasted centuries. Chinese engineers wrapped bamboo pipeline joints with fiber and tung oil over 2,200 years ago. And a $130 billion plumbing industry needs you to never discover that a $1 roll of silicone tape does what they charge $500 to do in 1% of the time, with zero tools and zero professional certification.
Oh.
This knowledge never disappeared from the planet. It was buried under licensing regulations that tell you pipe repair is too complex for homeowner hands. Buried under emergency service fees designed to capitalize on the panic of water dripping onto your floor at midnight. Buried under a trade industry that understood the most profitable moment in residential plumbing is the moment a homeowner sees water where water should not be and reaches for their phone instead of their tool drawer. Roman engineers knew 2,300 years ago. They sealed joints using compression techniques, and their aqueducts delivered water for half a millennium. Medieval plumbers knew. They packed joints with fiber and tar that held for centuries of continuous service. Chinese pipeline engineers knew 2,200 years ago. They wrapped pressurized joints with tensioned fiber that sealed natural gas and brine lines across miles of terrain. The United States Navy knows right now. They seal combat pipe damage with the same silicone tape you can buy for $1 at any hardware store. NASA knows. They keep it aboard the International Space Station as an emergency lifeline repair material. The Department of Defense knows. It developed the technology for the most extreme operating conditions human engineering has ever faced. And the plumber who quoted you $500 for the dripping joint under your sink absolutely knows. There is a roll of self-fusing tape in the toolbox mounted on his truck right now. He wraps leaks with it every week as a temporary measure, while he prepares the repair that justifies the invoice. He just never told you that the temporary measure works permanently. But right here, right now, watching this video, you just learned the same pipe sealing principle that protects warships, space stations, and 2,000-year-old Roman aqueducts, and it costs less than a candy bar. Your grandfather fixed every leak in his house himself with a wrench and common sense. Then a $130 billion industry convinced your generation that water dripping from a pipe joint is a $500 professional emergency. But today, sitting right here, you just took your plumbing back for $1.